Hey everyone, this is a golf cart project update. Part 2, I guess you'd call it. Kind of give you a idea of where I'm at. I got the points thing all put back together, and it's firing good. You saw that in the last video right there at the end. And so I went ahead and put everything back together that related to that. I've got to put the exhaust muffler back on it that I had to have off to make room to work on it. Got the coil mounted back where it goes. Everything, that part of it's all put back together. Moving on to the next, which is going to be the fuel. I'm working on the fuel. And oh, there's one other thing, that the battery. I'm going to move you down here and let you see what I'm talking about. This battery. This battery, I think, is a good one. It's I had one laying around here that come out of one of my cars. It was still starting the car good, and I think it's a good battery. And so the battery in here is bad, so I'm going to use it. But it was the one I had top post on it, and the one that was in the golf cart was side post. So I went to the parts store and I bought these adapters. Now you're supposed to be able to just put this on the battery post, and then the side post is supposed to screw right to it. But unfortunately, nothing's ever quite that simple, as it's supposed to be. These bolts right here that go through the side post aren't long enough to get into the threads in that adapter. So I'm going to have to take the bolts out of the side post cables anyway and find longer bolts that'll reach back into the threads on that adapter. So I was hoping they'd bolt right up, but I'll have to do that. And then I went ahead off camera and got the fuel tank out of it. Fuel tank was mounted right back here, and I went ahead and took the carburetor off of it. I just took the whole fuel system off of it. I didn't even troubleshoot anything. I just took all the fuel lines, the carburetor, the fuel pump, the filter. I just stripped all that off, and it's all over here on the bench. And I'm going to replace the hoses, the fuel line hoses. I'll replace them all with new hose and a new filter, and I'll clean the gas tank out real good. It had some really the gas smells like varnish. It's really, really nasty. And the carburetor was, let's walk over to the bench and I'll show you what I've got going over here. Here's the tank. I know you can't tell much by that, but it smells. It don't even smell like gas. It smells like varnish. So it's not good. Gas ain't any good. And there's some of the old hoses and fuel lines that went to it, and they're really stiff and brittle. So I'll start out with brand new on them. Now there's a carburetor off of it, and I took the bowl off the bottom of the carburetor already. It was completely dry inside. It dried totally out, and it's a lot of debris and rust and stuff in it. And over here, all this stuff here, all these little dusty fines, that was all in the carburetor, all fell out when I took it apart. So it's but it's not worn. I think I'm going to try to save it rather than just buy a new carburetor. I'm going to set you down here so I can use both hands. Something to look for, especially on a 2-cycle engine, any engine, but a 2-cycle engine is especially acceptable to this. When this is like the choke lever here, and this is the throttle lever here. Okay, when these get wore out, that little shaft that's in there, when you can flop this around in that hole, like sometimes you can grab hold of it here where the choke cable goes, and you can flop that around. The choke's not as important as this one, but the throttle one especially. If you can, now I'm moving it this way, but side to side, if you can get play in there like that hole's wallered out, what that does is it allows it to suck air in there instead of going through the air intake and drawing through the carburetor like it's supposed to. It lets it sucks air in there, and that messes your fuel mix and everything all up, and it won't run good. And so that's kind of tells you whether you need a new carburetor right there. Is if you can flop that around, you need a new carburetor. She's wore out. Or if it's had bad gas in it to the point that you just can't get the little holes and stuff cleaned out. So what I'm going to do is I'll soak this and just in some gas and a brush and wash it all up real good on the outside and blow it off, and then I'll use carburetor cleaner and squirt through every little hole and see if make sure you can get a good stream of an aerosol carburetor cleaner and blow through all them holes and get it all cleaned out. And then I usually use an air gun and air compressor and blow it all off clean and dry, and blow air through all the little orifices and get it all cleaned out. She should work like a new one then after that. So that's the next step. Going to clean up all the carburetor parts. Oh, here's the fuel pump. This is what a fuel pump looks like on a golf cart. Now what it does is the gas line. Now I don't remember for sure which one's which, but what you basically have, there'll be 3 holes on it. The gas line from the tank or from the filter goes in one, so you got gas going in one, gas coming back out the other, and then you've got another hose goes to the engine, and it just goes into the crankcase, and every time that cylinder strokes, it tries to push air out, and then it tries to suck air back in against the diaphragm in here. So you've just got to pulse it. It's not sucking in all the time. It's not blowing out all the time. It's every stroke. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it works that little diaphragm. And then that little diaphragm just has like a little reed valve assembly and a little flapper valve, check valve type thing in it. And so the gas, it squirts the gas out. And then when it goes back the other way, it goes shut. And then it squirts the gas out and goes shut every time. So the engine's pulsing it, and then the gas is flowing through the other side of the little diaphragm. So that's how they work. That's how I feel. They're pretty simple. There's not much to it. Same way, I can clean that all up and take it apart. And if that there's like a little gasket in there, it's a little diaphragm piece. If it's in good shape and it's pliable and it's go and shut against the hole, it's pretty obvious. It's either good or it's not. So you might have to have a new fuel pump or a new kit for a fuel pump, or you might just be able to clean it up and put it back together. If everything looks in good shape, there's really no need to replace anything. So I'm going to try to save it. I don't know what condition it's in, but this cart ran when it was parked, so it's probably in good shape. I'm hoping on that anyway. So anyway, there's the carburetor, there's fuel pump, there's the tank. That's the next order of business, is get all that stuff cleaned up, put back together, and have to do something with my battery cables. I'll get that done, and I guess that's it. That's where I'm at with it. This is going to be a lot shorter video than the first one. As I'm doing all this stuff, if I come across something that I think I need to show me doing, I'll get the camera out and we'll do it. And if not, I'll show you what I'll put at the end of this video. I'll put everything put back together and just kind of give a brief how it went and what I found, show you what I did. And so that'll be, I'll let you know, show you here when I get it all done. It'll just be a few seconds for you. It's going to be all day for me. I'm back. Had something here I wanted to show you. First of all, I got the carburetor all back together. ready to go back on. It cleaned up really well, all put back together. I think it's going to be just fine. Took the fuel pump apart though, and I just wanted to show you, I explained earlier kind of how it worked, and I've got it all apart now, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of show that a little closer. It's kind of sandwiched in thirds here, actually 3 sections. It all kind of goes together like that, and you take the bolts out and it separates all apart like that. Well, there's a little chamber in the middle here, and that's where uses the crankcase pressure, goes in here. That's the one that goes into the crankcase that creates the little pulsing with air, and it goes up this chamber and out right here, and then this part here seals against this, and it just pumps that back and forth, that little circle right there, and pumps it. And then that's what it would make the gas just push it back and forth in the hose. But then there's this section here. Well, I guess it's the other side of the same section. It's see these little bitty springs on here, real tiny little minute springs. I don't know if I can get them close enough you can see them right there. They're little bitty springs. They push on. There's like a little flap on this gasket that lays over the hole, and see them little springs hold it down. There you go. Them little springs hold it down like that, and when it pumps this way, the gas will flow out of it, and then when it pumps the other way, it goes back against the hole there and seals it off. There's 2 of them. It's like 2 little check valves, and the gas goes through them. Okay, in our case, I took that all apart. This one's not too bad. Get that where you can see it. This one's not too bad here. It kind of works. But this other one, I had to take that little hook thing and pull it out. It was actually shoved all the way down in that hole there. It wasn't doing anything. It was the fuel was able to just go back and forth on that one. So only one of them that was actually pumping, sealing. And I don't know. If I can get that out of there, it's not tore. If I can get that flattened out where it'll work again or not, that's not too good. It really needs just a new gasket kit. You know, the rebuild kit is going to consist of the gasket parts. That's basically all it's going to be. There's going to be this gasket and this gasket, and then there's 2 more, one on the back plate and one on the front plate. So there's just 4. I'm sure the rebuild kit's just going to be 4 little gaskets. And so anyway, I don't know if that's what I'm going to have to do, or if I could make this work or not, or it might just be simpler to get a new fuel pump. Haven't priced it out, but my gosh, the parts for that ignition was so expensive that I can't imagine what these was worth. But anyway, that's and I have seen online too another option. In my research, I've seen people just totally eliminate this whole fuel pump and replace it with a little 12-volt electric pump. That can be done. So I might have to go with an electric pump if this isn't available, or if it's too expensive. But anyway, that's all for now. I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to get back to putting everything back together. I've got the battery. I was telling you about the adapter, how the bolts wasn't long enough. I only have 1 bolt that's long enough, so I'll have to make a trip to a hardware store or someplace to to buy a bolt, and it's weekend, so might not happen today. But anyway, I've got to do that and get the battery back in it, all the fuel systems put back together, and yeah. I guess that's all for now. See you in the next clip. Okay, I'm back. Got a couple things to share here. I'm going to try to wrap this video up, really, this clip up, and then we'll do a part 3. It's getting kind of long. That first one was, for part 1, was like a half hour long. That's too much, in my opinion. I don't like to watch YouTube videos that's that long. I usually don't even. A lot of times it's something I want to watch, I'll skip it if it gets too long, so I want to try to keep these short. Anyway, the battery, I found bolts and put that together, and I had an issue I want to show you with this. I'm going to move you down here. This battery post right here. Those things that's just really thin right there. I ended up twisting this one off. I just twisted that little adapter right in half. It's lead, so I soldered it back together. And I think the one that I fixed is thicker now than it would have been as far as carrying the amp load. I'm not worried about that because I've got mine built up twice as thick as it was from originally. I wouldn't recommend those things at all. It's supposed to be a quick fix. I'd have been better off just to bought top post cable ends, cut my old ends off, and put new ends on the cables. Would have been a whole lot better than messing with those things. Started out the bolts was too short, and then they're real thin, and I broke that one in half and had to solder it back together, and it's just a pain. But anyway, that part's fixed now, and it's turning it over. Okay, I got the tank back in it. There. And I had this little grommet in the top of the tank. It was not in the best of shape, so I had to put some silicone all around the hole where and put it in, and it's drying now. Okay, I got the carburetor all back on it. Down in here. It's all mounted back up, and the cables and everything's hooked back up. The cables are working. They're not the best, but I think they'll be okay for my purposes. Notice something putting it together that's also odd, I guess, about golf cart or about these particular ones or anything, is if you broke a throttle cable or anything, normally on a little engine, a lawnmower or something, that butterfly valve spring loads closed, and your gas pedal opens it up. I don't know, but the way they've got the governor and the cables and everything that it has to do, that all works backwards. That carburetor butterfly valve tries to be open all the time, wide open, and the cable, the foot feed, actually pulls it shut. And when you step down on the gas pedal, it allows it to open back up, but it's trying to spring open. Man, that just looks like a nightmare, an accident waiting to happen. I can just see a runaway cart because a cable broke on a foot feed or something, if it broke, and that thing in the default position to be trying to go wide open. So I guess if you ride a golf cart a lot and it ever just takes off like wide open and you can't stop it, remember to reach down and shut the switch off real fast, put the brakes on, because the engine's going to want to go wide open. That just seems to me like a flaw in the engineering to me, but that's the way it's made. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, I want to show you something. If this works, I poured a little gas in the car, got the carburetor back on it, and I thought, well, got the fire, got the carburetor on it. It was time for a test run. I don't have much patience. So anyway, I tried to start it. I think there should be, I just poured a little fuel. I don't have the fuel pump or the fuel lines or anything on it yet. I just took a little piece of hose and a funnel and poured some gas in the carburetor bowl to get a little gas in the carburetor bowl. Tried to start it. So I'm going to try it again. I think there should be enough left in it to show you. Turn the key on there. reach down and hit the gas pedal. Might be out of gas. I'll try choking it. We'll do that again. She's gonna run. Alright, I got a lot of work yet to do. I'm gonna gotta get the fuel pump figured out and the lines and stuff on it. So there'll be a part 3. Thanks for watching.